stopping the music. Oh, what the heck's going on there? Refreshing my screen. Something weird is happening to my preview. Oh yeah. Let's see here. What the heck is going on here? Hey, can you guys see me okay? Because this is, oh yeah, it's working. Yeah, my screen's just being weird. That's wonderful. Okay, whatever. I can ignore the screen. I'll ignore that. Hey guys! How you doing on this lovely Tuesday? No, it's Tuesday. It's Wednesday. Jeez, man. My brain is fried, man. On this lovely Wednesday. Am I a bit fuzzy? I don't know what... Yeah, my YouTube is showing me a corner of my screen. Showing me this little corner up here for some reason. I've got myself on camera there. Let's double check to see here. Am I fuzzy? My fuzzy wuzzy was a bear. I think I'm pretty sharp looking. My hair's a little crazy. So what's up? What's up? All right. So I gotta respond to Ganoni, who just who left a comment while we were waiting in line for the show here. Where's my vat? Where the heck did I social? There it is. All right. Ever watch a film that's really well made and stylistic but has enough extreme and sleazy content that you're not sure about ever recommending it to anyone, at least not in polite company? If you watched last week's episode, I talked about Candy. This is exactly that topic, although I think he was talking more about Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion, which is fantastic visually but also a Japanese 70s movie about women's prison. So yeah. Hello, Casca. Hello, Left Hand Puppetry. Hello, Meryl Rosner. See you, feel ya, touch ya, heal ya. Oh, I need that. I'll need that right now. I'll tell you that for sure. Yeah, I'm not feeling great. I've just been in a lot weird. Been in some weird state of mind. Activo Racing says that. You say you only see a complete screen. I see a complete screen, eyeball. I'm not sure what does that mean, complete screen. If I am coming to you funny, let me know, because I can always restart the stream and figure this out. Anyhow, so I'm sure you guys are all excited to hear me talk about my own physical ailments right now. I'm just not feeling, I've not been feeling too good. My mom has a long overdue surgery tomorrow morning, so maybe that's part of the stress that I'm experiencing. Activo says shout outs from Palm Coast, Florida. Yeah, so tomorrow she's gonna get a surgery. Finally been scheduled since November, and had been canceled twice because of COVID. And hopefully we can get over this little hump. And she did get a COVID test yesterday, which came back negative, not positive. It was positive. And positive was negative, but it was a positive thing. That it was negative. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, today I've been just not been feeling good, and then I've been dealing with this little troll on one of my videos about. I love it. I put the effort to make about 24 frames a second. I put the effort to create a video defending 24 frames. Actually, I thought it was quite a bit. Cover a lot of the bases. And I made another video which is about 40 minutes long, covering even more of the arguments against it. And then people leave me comments on my argument on my second video that I already argued in the video, because they're not watching the video, because they don't have an argument. There is no argument. They're just idiots. They're really idiots. So I've crossed the line to, like, okay, you're not arguing anything. You're just a fucking moron at this point. You just have no clue what you're talking about. It got to the point where we were saying that beauty is objective. Beauty is objective. Was boiling down the argument. Yes, beauty is objective. Yeah. There's no hope in this discussion if we're saying that beauty is objective. One of the most fundamental understandings of art and culture, that beauty is subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We always say that. But no, beauty is objective. Therefore, yeah, we're done. This guy's an idiot. This guy's a I just have to say I have to be violent in my language because I am at that frustration because of the way I feel right now. He is a fucking moron. All right, can we leave it at that? All right, let's move on. John, we need to move on. Yeah, Operation Baboon says, beauty is an abstract. How could it be objective? And to which I say, exactly. How can beauty be? And I guess his argument was starting to say we are biologically ingrained to recognize certain things as beauty, but then again, that's not objectivity. Objectivity is something that can be measured regardless of the viewer. Oh my God, this is what we are at that level, man. When I'm discussing frame rate with people that are so anti 24 frame rate, it's because they've convinced themselves that something that of these untruths, and they twist the logic into it is flat Earth. Arguing people against 24 frames a second is arguing a different flavor of flat Earth. Now the thing that bothers me, let's dive into the deep philosophical thing. The thing that's been bothering me a lot, and it comes to politics, and it comes to discussions online, it comes to COVID, it comes to everything that's going on right now, is there is this tremendous lack of empathy. And it talks about, and in comic book movies and 24 frames a second, it's all related. There is a tremendous lack of empathy in our culture that we cannot for a second understand the perspective of somebody else. And then you say, well, John, how come you can't understand the perspective of someone that's a high frame rate? I do understand the perspective of high frame rate. I'm arguing against it from my perspective. I understand the high frame rate argument. I do. I really, really, trust me, I do understand it. It's just that there is no ability to step outside your own world, your own shell, and see things from another person's perspective. Like I was getting hardcore in this other conversation with somebody about superhero movies. And of course, you may have watched, if you're on my live stream, you've probably seen it. My stance about comic book movies, which is I like comic book movies. I'm fine with them. They're not my favorite genre. If I sat down tonight and I said, John, you can either watch a superhero movie or this really great romantic comedy that looks really cute, which one would you rather watch? I'd pick the romantic comedy. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't like rom-coms that are chick flicks, even though that's kind of a loaded term. I like rom-coms that are sweet and fun and have attractive people in them, and they're funny. That's my movie. I'd rather watch that. I'd rather watch something that's more of an even heady, really deep sci-fi than some comic book hero movies. But I don't think comic book superhero movies are the death knell of culture. But this person was so reticent, well, I don't care. He's like the Endgame is Avengers Endgame. We're still talking about Avengers Endgame. This is Avengers Endgame was 2018, 2019? No, 2019. Should make it 2 years old. We're still fucking talking about Avengers Endgame being the death of culture. No one's talking about Endgame anymore, dude. We've moved on. We've moved on to other movies. But no, comic book movies are they're horrible. They're the death of cinema, and we can't survive with comic book superhero movies. There's no such thing. These arguments always get made in the summertime when comic book or after Memorial Day or after. It's like clockwork. It's like clockwork. Oh, comic book hero movies are the death of cinema. And yet, and unfortunately because of COVID, we would, if it wasn't for COVID, we would be entering the best time of the year for movies, which is Oscar season. Well, arguably. Sometimes Oscar season can be kind of just full of crap, or full of just pushy narrative, here, watch my really burning movie about a social issue, So there's a lot of crap that comes out of Oscar season, but there's a lot of also good stuff. Oscar season brings out the most, artful, the most creative, and sometimes, experimental stuff that comes out. So we have Oscar season too. So how can you have both? And the reality is, and this has been known since the early days of film, film studios, is that a studio will have a mix of highbrow entertainment and lowbrow entertainment, and they will have all kinds of I know, and I remember a comment a long time ago was like, you shouldn't use the word highbrow, lowbrow. It's changed. Don't worry, it's not a whatever. But you have a mix of different genres. If you're that's why Disney bought up superhero. Disney has superhero movies, so they also have, Star Wars movies, and they also have this and that. And, I don't know what I haven't been following what Disney's been putting out. Disney tends to be more of a family entertainment, so they don't put out the edgier stuff, more the Oscar stuff. So, every studio wants to put out a blend because that's how you make money. You don't put all your bets in one basket. You hedge your bets. Where the word hedge fund comes in. That's another topic. I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing about that. So anyhow, lack of empathy. That's what I'm trying to say. You got to get out. You got to, realize the world is not all about you. And then the second part of it is there are people that are as smart as you are, and maybe even smarter. Oh my God, that is mind-blowing for most people, that there are people as smart, maybe even smarter, oh my God, than you, especially when it comes to an industry that you don't work in. That one's a tricky one. That one's a hard pill to swallow there. That's a big one. So filmmakers, people that run studios, they might know what they're doing. Oh my God! How dare you? This is YouTube. How dare you say that? Oh, I'm sorry. I had this guy poor baboons comment on the whole time I was ranting there. Sorry about that. But yeah, so people that are Hollywood, the Hollywood moguls, the Hollywood green guys that greenlight the films, they might know a thing or two about what movies to greenlight that you don't. That's the scary pill to swallow. Now, let's face it, we can all sit back and armchair quarterback, and that's a whole career. People made careers out of that. People made millions of dollars being critics, sitting around telling people what they think of something. But ultimately, the people that are on the ground putting out the stuff, those are the guys that really have to make the call. So I've been ignoring your guys' chat while I'm going on my incredible tirade. Because it's just been bugging me. It's like I said, it comes down to comic book movies. It comes down to, to 24 frames a second. Like, oh yeah, because everybody else in the world, all these filmmakers who spend millions of dollars on Red cameras, who spend millions of dollars on Arri cameras, who the leading edge of image acquisition, they don't know what high frame rate looks like. They've never switched the little toggle to something else and say, oh my God, look at that. It's 30 frames a second. Oh my... They've never done that. They've never watched television. They've never seen a soap opera. They've never played a video game. They've never done that. Only you on YouTube that have all the knowledge of the world. Only you know that. You're so much smarter than everyone else. Oh yeah, you're right. You figured it out. You saw the fact that no one else noticed the fact that people didn't land on the moon. Oh, you are so smart because you figured out, despite the fact that people, fly through airplanes and travel around ships around the world. No, you figured it out that the Earth is flat. Oh yeah, you figured it out on your keyboard. You're so smart, man. We should all just bow down and hit that like button, hit that smash that like button, and just love you because you figured it all out from the comfort of your own keyboard, haven't you? Isn't that wonderful? Are you guys sick of me going on my tirade? I know. What did I say? The Earth is flat. The Earth is, And then we got, COVID going around, which, I'm a very calm and agnostic personality when it comes to COVID. Like, yeah, it's real, people. It's not fake. It's also, let's not overdo it. Let's not kill ourselves trying to protect ourselves either. So I'm just sitting here like, can we just go back to the movie theater? Can we just Okay, I'll wear a mask. We'll separate the seats out like we always do anyway, unless it's a popular movie. But, like there was a chart that said, like, I remember a chart way back when COVID started hitting, like the worst, scariest things you can do, the most dangerous places you can go, and put movie theater way at the top, like movie theaters, restaurant dining, oh, so dangerous. And now there's like, well, there's no evidence that eating in a restaurant or is a easier way to get COVID. I mean, it's conceivably possible. Yes, it's conceivable. Is it proven? Not really. We kind of just guess. And, you got to guess. You got to make guesses when there's not information out there. When you just you are just blind. You have to make guesses. You have to make choices. I get that. I'm totally for that. But I'm also realizing what we are doing. It is a guess. It is let's try to do this as safely as we can. So anyhow, I know that can go into a long rant. I don't feel like it because I see enough of it already, and I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about Wandavision. So actually, Wandavision, and I watched the Hudsucker Proxy. Oddly, I'm going to make a connection between those two movies, or two properties, right? Hudsucker Proxy is a movie by the Coen brothers. It's actually written, I think, with Sam Raimi. And it's kind of funny how it works in today's Wall Street bets type of world. But so this company, Hudsucker Industries, the leader decided he wants to kill himself. So he jumps off the tower, kills himself. And in the board's like, okay, well, we want to take over the company, so let's depress the value of the stock and then buy it all up, and then we'll own the company, right? So they find the worst possible employee, or this guy that just walks in, Tim Robbins. He's like, I just came in here to work, and I got this great idea for a product. It's a circle. It's for kids, right? And actually, it's ironic because I'm actually working on a documentary for the people that came up with the hula hoop and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to watch it for that reason. Anyhow, that's the premise of the movie. So my review, or what I've read some reviews, and so I kind of, to organize my thoughts about this movie, was that the movie was a lot of substance. Like, the visuals are fantastic. I believe Roger Deakins shot it. There's a lot of like Brazil style visual effects. The sense of depth using very wide lenses. You create a very cartoonish acting. Jennifer Lee, I forget. I can't get her name right. The actress that was in it, she dialed in the character of like his girl Friday. They dialed in that mid-transatlantic accent. That very, very Katharine Hepburn style accent. She just nailed that. Visually, it's stunning, but it was very Preston Sturges-esque. But it wasn't making a commentary on Preston Sturges. It was sort of like, okay, kids, we're going to make a Preston Sturges, Frank Capra movie, but we're not going to comment on those movies, and we're not going to comment about modern times. It's supposed to take place in the 40s, but 50s, and it feels like it takes place in the 30s. Yay! And that's exactly how I felt about WandaVision. So the first 3 episodes of WandaVision were like, this is a sitcom, folks! Yay! And it's like, well, okay, are you going to drop the shoe? Well, first episode down, okay, that was kind of felt like a lame episode of, whatever sitcom you're trying to, I mean, I Love Lucy, Bewitched, perhaps, if you want to go that direction. Conglomerate, Honeymooners, something like that. A whole bunch of the black and whites from the 50s. Like, okay, that's cool. The second episode, are you going anywhere with this? Third episode, all right, you gave me a little bit. But last week, the 4th episode, they finally said, okay, this is what the show's really about. Which is bizarre. I mean, I gotta admit, my opinion of the show turned around on the 4th episode. Like, I was ready to give up. I was ready to bail on the show. The 4th episode made it interesting. Like, I finally got to the point, like, okay, now this is what this is all about. And the problem is when you're releasing these shows, like, at once every week, they should have put this twist, like, at least, they should have, well, again, here's me saying what they should have done, even though I'm not in the power to do it. I'll argue both sides. I think they should have at least released these 4 episodes at once, so that you get the whole thing, and then you get you hooked into the show. Because I think the 4th episode's like, okay, I finally get where you're trying to go with this. This is cool. This is fun. And so the 4th episode, if you guys don't know, is actually the entire show takes place outside of WandaVision. So WandaVision's, it's Wanda and her husband Vision, and they're in this sitcom-y world, and you're seeing them like recreate these sitcoms. But the 4th episode, we kind of get outside of the world, like, what's going on here? And these FBI or SWORD agents, and not FBI, they come to this town, and it's got this like plasma shield around it, and like, what's going on? You can't enter this thing, and it's like this force field that keeps people out of this town, this mythical West Lake, I believe, West something or another, in New Jersey, right? So now we're interested in Kat Dennings is in it. She's always fun to watch, and that John Raczynski, I think, or he's got this Polish sounding name, but I think he's Korean. But he's been a couple of different Marvel properties, so it's gotten entertaining. So I would have argued that, hey, we should put this episode, or a type of this kind of episode, up front earlier, so that it wouldn't lose the people over time. The flip argument to that would be, well, we got a lot of PR at the beginning for the WandaVision stuff. Like, we got a ton of PR. They got a ton of PR. People are like, oh, what the hell? Because I was going back to this guy complaining about Endgame. Endgame's the death of cinema. Well, what are you going to do after Endgame? You're going to do this weird sitcom thing? Okay, that's different, So that's a whole different direction. So they got the free PR from that, and then they can let that subside for a little bit. And then when they release the 4th episodes, when you really understand what's going on with the plot, you get a second trailer, and you get renewed interest. So you get this little double bump of PR. So I guess from that perspective, it makes sense. So as a viewer, I would have rather had that second bump earlier. I wouldn't have felt like, this is kind of getting tiresome. So, that's the thing. I think with film, as a filmmaker, sometimes when I do create my own, and right now I'm working on this comic book that I've actually done with the first chapter or so, which is like 14 pages of art on it. And I sometimes you have to sit back, like a filmmaker or even any kind of storyteller. Sometimes if you get really invested in your story, you have to always think, like, what is my viewer, what is my audience how is my audience who's going to be experiencing this for the first time, how are they going to respond to what I'm doing? Because I know the story, and I know the concept, I know the conceit. So I know who all the characters are, but the person watching it won't know that, and won't know anything. So how do I educate my viewer to bring them into my journey? That's tricky. That's really tricky. So, anyhow, don't know where I'm going with that. So that was what I wanted to say about WandaVision, how I wanted to tie it into the Hudsucker proxy. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, other than complaining about empathy. So, yeah, it's a comment. I'm just going to go through your comments now. We can hang out for a little bit and just talk about that. B says he does no cable. And I actually killed my cable connection just last month, so I don't have any cable either. I am joining you, but I do have basically all the streaming platforms. I don't have Hulu, but let's see what Operation Baboon says. He says, it's not that I don't like WandaVision, but it feels like it's a very expensive setup for the next Doctor Strange movie. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I think it is a setup for Doctor Strange, but the thing is, I don't know anything about Doctor Strange. I really don't know anything about the Marvel Universe. Like, I come to it I come to it only from the movie side. I've only seen the movies, and I haven't studied the movies. I think I've seen the movies only once. I don't think there's a single Marvel movie I've seen more than once. So, Caboose Juice says spoilers galore. This has been pre-recorded. Sure, whatever. Like I don't know what streams you watch, but like most of the streams I watch, they don't even interact with the guests. They just goes live for a long time. Let's see. Oh, hi from Ronaldo says hi from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Very cool. Alrighty. Yeah, Intrepid Picture says I couldn't make it past the first episode. Not really a fan of sitcoms. I hear you. That's kind of what my argument, my problem with it was. Oh, I didn't know that. Derek Roberts says Hal Holbrook died yesterday, so I watched Creepshow, 1982. Hal Holbrook was a. I recognize the name. I think I can picture who it is, but Intrepid Pictures. It's for kids. That's from the Hudsucker proxy. Alrighty. Well, anyhow. Yeah, Operation Baboon says the first 2 episodes can be a bit deceiving. Yeah, that's what I like. That's what my problem with the show. It's like like they didn't play their hand hard enough. I would have liked. It's like imagining if you were to watch the Truman Show, but it was broken out into a TV show, and the first 2 episodes were basically the Truman Show, and it was like, okay, we're watching the Truman Show, but it wasn't like explaining like the whole conceit of the Truman Show. I mean, the Truman Show is a fascinating. I mean, one of my favorite movies is the Truman Show, and it's amazing how the movie is structured, and almost at not the halfway point, but like the first act break is when you step out and you get the guy that plays Smithers, what's his name, explaining to the audience basically the entire conceit, and it's brilliant how it leads up to it. And the marketing even of that movie did kind of give you the impression like, yeah, this is a TV show that we made for Truman. But anyhow, yeah, Truman Show is one of my favorite movies. I've seen that at least 5 times, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I should probably watch it. I like this comment here. Danny Haynes says, what I love about the Wandavision is that they use cameras from the air as well as live audience for the sitcom scenes. That's pretty cool. You know what? Another movie I saw that used the cameras from the era, and we're going to go talk about frame rate again, is the Fred Rogers movie, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. They found the cameras, or they maybe not the exact cameras, but at least the models of the ones that were used to shoot Fred Rogers. And I was like, wow. When I was watching, I was like, wow. It almost feels like they switched frame rates because it was so smooth. But then I realized that a 60 hertz, when you're shooting 60i, you typically want to shoot 1/60 of a second. Well, 1/60 of a second is essentially 360 degree shutter on a 60i stream. So I guess you can accomplish the same look as television, that soap opera look, by adjusting the shutter speed to 360. Now, it's not quite the soap opera look, but it does have a little bit of that character of television look. It's fascinating to me. I mean, it might be because I am so embroiled in that debate that I can kind of spot that tiny little bit of sensation. I mean, it's still not 20. It's still not 60, but it's got that little hint of it. I'm not special. I'm just saying it is something I look for almost all the time. But when I was looking, I was like, did they really shoot that in 60? Because it doesn't look like 24. But that's because, it is probably 360. All right, let's get into this discussion on this WandaVision. Ristoff says, I think without the setup of the first 2-3 episodes, everyone is wondering what the fuck is going on. The 4th one wouldn't hit us the same way. I agree with you. You've got a very good point. I just wish they would have gotten to that point a little earlier, or maybe they would have teased it harder, because it just felt like those first three episodes was like, this whole season's gonna be like this. But maybe the solution would have been to put like a little bit more of the outside world in the first or second episode. And I realized there was a little bit, but I wish I wanted more. I'm happy now. I'm happy now. So I mean, if this was a Netflix show and we were allowed to binge all the whole thing in one go, this wouldn't be a complaint. It's just the nature of drawing out the shows as one a week kind of a thing. And honestly, like I know a lot of people like don't like this idea of drawing out the shows. To me, I like it because it gives me like a purpose in the week. It gives me like I get to the weekend, I'm like I've been working. Right now I'm rebuilding my entire studio, so I'm like reorganizing everything. It is an absolute mess back there, and so when the weekend comes, I'm like, oh well, what am I going to do? I'm gonna relax. I can check out those the shows that I get my installment of Wandavision. I get my installment of The Expanse. It's like something I look forward to every week, rather than like just sit plop on the couch and just, And so I guess on top of that, I appreciate each episode more, because sometimes when you binge watch a show, sometimes you're just watching to get through it. Like you like the show, but you're just like you don't get time to settle down and think about it and feel it, So anyhow, The Expanse, by the way, we didn't talk about The Expanse. Is doing fantastic. This season is amazing. I'm not going to go into too much more detail on that because it is a very convoluted story, and we're about I think 5th season now. So you do need to. I would recommend going back and watching all of them because it is the best sci-fi it is out there. It is I would rank it. In the grand scheme of things, there's Star Trek. Obviously, there's the grandfather. But even that's sort of more of a series show. Battlestar Galactica is considered one of the great sci-fi shows of all time, and obviously I liked it all the way even to the last few seasons. I still liked it. But Battlestar was, I think, of its era, was really a special show in that how it kind of was able to incorporate sci-fi with also. I'm older because like people forget how much 9/11 affected the culture and society. And I think Battlestar was very much of a show about kind of the 9/11 terrorism style, the questions that came about from 9/11. So I think that was a very important show in regards to that. I would put Expanse right in there. The Expanse, I think, is a serious, thoughtful show. Even some of the questions being asked, I mean, now they might be kind of cliche, I guess. But I still, and besides, the acting is amazing in the show. Acting is fantastic. Oh, really? Okay, so Pedro Silva says, the difference here is I Love Lucy, the audience didn't have to sign an NDA for the spoilers. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you're saying the I Love Lucy, the audience had to sign an NDA. Although I think a lot of these shows, I know in Disney, they basically use their own crew to be the audience. Like I know Pixar does this a lot, where they'll do a screening of their cuts for Pixar friends and family, and of course before the actual movies release. Oh, there we go. I'm going to shoot some existential movie. Can you recommend some to watch as preparation? I'm not very good at thinking about them, but why don't we all kind of join in there? Maybe check out some David Lynch stuff. Maybe existentialist. Maybe like Elephant Man. So give Lucas some suggestions in the comments, because my brain's not that great on the moment. We'll cover them with some ideas. Alrighty. Derek Roberts says, I read Seinfeld is leaving Amazon Prime, but coming to Netflix. Oh, coming to Netflix in June, looking for confirmation. I'm desperate for U.S. shows. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I guess so. My phone's going off again. Operation Baboon says, I'm personally a fan of a more unconventional approach and no instant exposition, but I agree it would work better if you could just binge it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's part of that question of did you get, like, I'm a strong proponent of the 3-act structure in that, but I take a very loose application of 3-act structure in that I don't think that you necessarily need to have this thing has to happen in the first act. But the problem, I think, with the series, we know that it felt like the first act never got going, and in a way, a TV series needs to have several first acts. How can I even put this? The series itself is like the first act we didn't get to our first act break until third, fourth episode, which doesn't really work in a series. I don't know. I have to think about how that works. Emmanuel suggests The Seventh Seal as a great existential film. So there you go. Operation Baboon says The Lighthouse, anything French New Wave. I was not a big fan of Lighthouse. I got into this discussion with people. That was my debate with this person that thought that Endgame was the end of cinema. It's like Endgame is the death of cinema. Like, oh, but look at these movies like Lighthouse. Well, Lighthouse got made at, even the same year that Endgame did. It's not like one precludes the other. You can have both, And then Lighthouse was not my favorite movie. Honestly, I felt it was a little too much. Caboose just says, I recommend defining it with a dictionary, then figuring out what you've already seen. Otherwise, you want to make something. Derivative. Oh, yeah. Like the question of being derivative is also kind of interesting because I remember way back when like I was still had hopes of making films with people around me. Back in those days when we could. But I was involved with some like smaller, more amateur filmmaking groups, and this one guy was like, I got this idea for a movie and no one's ever seen before, right? And if I go see a movie and it has something that's similar to what I thought of, and I get rid of it because I want it completely new. And I thought, well, you probably haven't seen many movies then. It's like derivative, like being derivative of something. I mean, yeah, you can be derivative. There's going too far. There really is. I guess you're watching a movie and then you want to copy it. But again, I don't know. Like I think I am of the opinion that when you're starting to make movies, when you're first making movies, you should copy. Like just straight out copy. You should almost make. And that's exactly what I did. I made essentially satires or parodies of other famous movies, because then it's like a template for figuring out. Okay, this is what I would do in the situation. It's just an easy way to fill in the blanks and go make your movie. And over time, the style evolves and emerges from that. And the people like Quentin Tarantino, who's never gone away from being derivative. He's built an entire career. He's au revoir, however you pronounce it, of being derivative, but doing derivative in a creative and playful manner, and a badass manner, I guess you want to say. Oh, this is the movie I want to talk. I love to talk about, The Fall. Woe B says The Fall, 2006. Fall is a fascinating movie, fascinating and very beautiful. Very beautiful movie, and it just, even the making of that movie. I mean, the way it came to life as it really is. It is somewhat of an independent movie. It wasn't really made. I might be wrong, but it wasn't made under the auspices of a major studio. It was like independently financed, and I believe it was quite a bit of a failure. It was really expensive, and it did not do well. But it's a fantastic movie. I mean, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous, visually beautiful. So, all right. Let's see what else. Oh, Justin. Let's go. Justin Fire says, I'm interested in 60s, 70s cinematography, clean, flat zoom, snappy edits. How did Roman Polanski do stuff like that? Are there good parfocal lenses on the cheap? No. No, like, don't get this idea. Don't get this in your head that you can find good stuff. I mean, you can work with cheap stuff, but if it's good, it's not going to be cheap anymore. It's just basic supply and demand. If something is, and that's the thing that's annoying, right? Like, as soon as you find something good, like Nikon lenses used to be like trash. Like, no one would even, you could get a Nikon lens for like $30. 1980s Nikon manual zoom lens for $30, whatever. It's pointless, it's useless. It's now they're going for like 80, because the demand has gone up a little bit. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my Arseny Moon sent me a super chat. 449 ruples or RUB. Film is objectively better than digital. Bye-bye. I love it. I do like film, man. I'm not going to argue against film, so I will let that stand. Although I do like digital. I'm a digital guy, but film is awesome. Film is such is a fun thing. Anyhow, let's back to our competition. Super chats are always thanks for that. Help me get through the month. Hey, road tripping with Takax. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Good to see you, dude. Finally caught you live. Well, welcome. I am definitely still alive for the time being. I'm not. That's not a cry for help. I'm just saying I'm still here. Oh, there we go. The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus would be a good one to watch for some. I haven't seen that one. I've heard of it, but I've not seen it. Let's see. The Fire 16 millimeter. Are we talking about? Let's see what else. Oh, there we go. Was it Hunter Thomas that would type entire books to better understand them? I wonder. Hey, that's a good point. Writing, you mean writing entire books, like copying them to rewriting them. I think that's, that's kind of like what they did with Psycho in the late '90s, right? They remade Psycho shot for shot. Gus Van Sant, I believe, did that, and I was like, why? I guess to better understand it, but it didn't do well. So, oh, there you go. Derek Roberts says, what's annoying is seeing a parody of a movie you haven't seen. That seems to ruin it for me. You know what? You know who's really good at that? The Simpsons. I've seen so many parodies on The Simpsons of because I watched it when I was growing up, and I hadn't seen these movies. But over time, but like when you get older and you watch all these movies, like, hey, the Simpsons. That's what the Simpsons were referring to. This has had a lot of references to Clockwork Orange. Like there's this one scene where it's a shot where where Lisa hooks up these two cupcakes to electrodes, and there's a camera's right above the cupcakes, looking down through the cupcakes, and Bart's reaching up. He touches, he gets zapped, and you're like, oh shit, that's a reference to Clockwork Orange. This cartoon is referencing a shot from Clockwork Orange where a topless woman with her breasts, and Malcolm McDowell is trying to touch him, but he can't do it because he's been trained in his brain. It's like, wow, I can't believe they made that connection. Mark Griffin, hi from Taiwan. I'm from Taiwan. I was born in Taiwan. I'd love to go back. I just haven't had time, energy, and there's still places in the United States I want to visit, but I have not been to Taiwan. I was just watching a video about Taiwan with my mom because she's from Taiwan. So here's the ask, talking about Oscar season. Do you think there should be an Oscar this year, all things considered? Yeah, probably not. They are going ahead with them. Yeah, who's going to watch? I mean, I'm surprised they're even going ahead with the Super Bowl. Like, really? Who cares about the Super Bowl this year? Like, no one cares. I mean, I think the stores care. They're pushing Super Bowl. Get your Super Bowl stuff. But we're not allowed to gather in groups, so what's the point of Super Bowl? What's the point? It's funny because NAB, National Association of Broadcasters, talked about it last week. They usually meet in April, and this year they've already decided they're pushing it to October. So we're all going to just go to Vegas in October. All you guys on stream, we're going to Vegas in October. That's right. It's all going to happen. I like that. This is a good point, Baboon. Film is too expensive. It's nice to work with. If it's a pain, it's just price. I'm dealing with that with just celluloid, just still films. Like this is the first roll of color 35 millimeter that I've been wanting to process. I bought the chemicals to process this Porta 400. I'm not mastered, but I've gotten sufficiently good at doing black and white, so I wanted to do color, but I have not had the time or the energy to get out and do the color processing, because I had to do it. It's a temperature sensitive thing, whereas black and white's like there's no temperature. It's not very temperature sensitive. But anyhow. 449 rublos means I need to do 449 pirouettes. Okay. Oops, I didn't mean to cut to that shot. Oh my goodness, John, what are you doing with your? Yeah, so one of the videos I'm going to be doing sooner or later is going to be how to do a multicam streaming setup. Because actually, Might get it. Well, hopefully, not hopefully. I did feel that we're got a sponsor on board for some gear, so I'm going to do a little video on doing multicam streaming. And I've got a job actually that's going to be more of a recurring job to do some streaming for a school district. So that'll be fun. Yay, streaming. Although this is good practice in streaming right now with you guys. All right, there you go. Do you think that Joseph Campbell's and Chris Vogler's hero's journey is overused or a good base for a film? I don't think it's overused. I just think that it is. It may be over. It may be. Not everything has to be a hero's journey. Like there's certain. It lends itself to certain types of stories, but like a rom-com is not hero's journey. It never will be. But you'll never be able to make a Star Wars without it being hero's journey. It's just the evolution of how we tell stories of that particular genre of that kind of fashion. So yeah, that's a thing. Arseny Moon talks about I guess a film, better dynamic range, overexposed, richer colors, way better to project, bigger resolution, better way to store. Film can be stored for hundreds of years. Digital doesn't last long. I would argue that digital can last long if you burn it to film. So there's that way of doing it. But the thing I don't like about film is that I don't like the contrast. The film tends to have a little too much contrast for my taste. I tend to like a little bit of flatter look to my movies and my video, my content. It's a little bit too. Film tends to be a little too oppressive as far as the dense. I guess the word is density. It's a little too dense for my liking. Maybe that's just maybe it's just processing issues. And Pedro thought, the cupcakes is a reference to the film where the dumb guy gets smarter and then dumb again. No, that episode, the cupcakes episode, is my brother smarter than a hamster, and that was actually there's a couple references to Clockwork Orange in that show. Dumb guy gets smart. The dumb guy gets smart and gets dumb, and then dumb. I don't remember what movie that is. Godfather, best gangster flick in my opinion. I'm gonna go with Goodfellas. Isn't that the endless debate regarding whether Super Bowl matters? Tom Brady cares. Oh yeah, Tom does. Tom Brady. Tom Brady. It's a Brady Bunch joke. Terrible. I think Operation Baboon kind of echoes what I'm saying too. We're both in agreement there. It is overused, but it's also unavoidable. Oh, there you go. I'm hysterical. The Clockwork Orange is one of the most sexually violent movies ever. One of the first of its kind. It is. Yeah, it is an effed up movie. There's a couple rapes in the movie. It is effed up. It is crazy, but it is also shocking, and it really puts you in a because man, this Alex character is a complete. He should be destroyed. He's such a terrible person, and yet you feel kind of sorry for him at the end. And it's like, wow, strange. It is. Anyhow. You can get deep into that territory. Derek Roberts says, I'm guessing that's why King of the Hill is my favorite animated show, never the fact that I'm from Texas. King of the Hill. Do you ever, maybe kids are getting too old, but I remember as a kid, if you're walking down the street and you hear, you're walking by a house and the doors open, you can always tell what they're watching because you can hear the theme song, right? Because the theme song would always... bum 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 bum. You would hear that, or you would hear doon 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 doon. I can't do the King of the Hill theme song justice. Look it up. You're all gonna be googling it real quick. Down down down. That song. One of my favorites was the Drew Carey Show. All the little lips with the crimson lips go Cleveland rocks, Cleveland rocks, and all the people on YouTube who are under I would say 20. Are what is he talking about? Drew Carey Show? What the hell is that? Drew Carey Show is a fantastic show. It's kind of funny. Is that period in the late 90s when you could do Office related humor, because that was the year when When Office Space came out, when Office Space came out, Drew Carey's show was about human resource management. Dilbert was popular, and then The Office came around. The Office became The Office. The show was really more about the drama of The Office rather than the absurdity of cubicle work, because it really wasn't cubicle work anymore. It kind of started moving in a different direction. So now we're getting away from the kind of the workplace humor and more about like interrelationship humor that happens to be around the workplace. It's interesting. Someone should write an article about that, or at least a thesis. All right, let's jump back here. All right, there we go. Good point here. Most film buffs nowadays watch movies because they want to brag about it. They don't watch them because it's art or because they love them. I agree with that. I mean, to an extent, there's some film buffs. There are people that like genuinely enjoy boring ass movies. No, I'm obviously joshing people. Like, I think it's more my opinion, and I've been shaped by my former partner here at Filmmaker IQ, who passed away many years ago, gave me this courage to embrace populist movies. It is okay to love Avengers Endgame and also to love, The Vitch, the two V's, or even what's the movie that came out, Midsummer. It's okay to love Midsummer and and the latest Marvel flick, right? It's okay to love the stuff. It's okay, and then one does not preclude the other. And there can be a world where Star Wars exists, and also the Seventh Seal can also exist, and they can coexist. And it's not bad that more people like Star Wars than they like, Kurosawa, but that doesn't mean that one is inferior or the other one. The courage to accept that what brings you joy can bring you joy. That's what I was. And then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go talk about 24 frames again. That's the problem I have so much when I'm dealing with some people about 24 frames per second. When they talk about 60 frames per second is objectively. The word objective is so important to other people's talk or philosophy, is because another example, Last Jedi is objectively bad because they can't take enough stock in their own opinion. Like, I liked The Last Jedi. My partner that comes around here when we do our live stream hates The Last Jedi. And I'm okay with that. I appreciate the movie for what it was trying to do. I accept that it's got many flaws, but I am comfortable enough to be subjectively enjoyed it. And then there are movies that I subjectively did not enjoy, that other people subjectively enjoyed, like The Lighthouse. I forget where we're going with all this. Something to do with basically being able to appreciate and not, the day I became free was the day I learned I wasn't a slave to what everyone else thought, and I can just appreciate, because I'm Filmmaker IQ, I get hit up with a lot of people saying I should watch this movie or that movie, and a lot of those movies, man, they don't look interesting to me. They just don't look interesting to me. Anyhow, I'm ignoring you guys for long enough. Hippie Speedball Podcast. It sounds like a fun podcast, Hippie Speedball. Godfather's amazing. Showed that to my girl when we first got together and whipped up some manicotti. And panzanella. Nice. That was a great night. Goodfellas. My number one, though. You gotta give it for Goodfellas. I mean, look, Godfather. It's like picking your favorite child. Meryl Rosner says, I did a bunch of research in Taiwan as a leader of documentary film, even now. Interesting. Beginning in 1930s at the Sino-Japanese War, some subsequent wars. Interesting. Yeah, my mom watches. I mean, I got Sling. As I got rid of my cable because cable was costing me $200 a month, and like I don't watch $200 plus, $200 that's with the internet. But it was like, that's a lot. So I got rid of the cable, but I got my mom Sling, so she could watch her Chinese. And man, the Taiwans, they got so many documentaries, so many like reality style documentary stuff. It's a little different in the way, very different than American television. There's a lot of like subtle, graphic differences, the way they edit, the way they, just it's just different. I have to sit down and figure out what how to even explain it. Derek Roberts said, I always thought the Barney Miller theme was very similar to Seinfeld. Okay. I don't know what the Barney Miller theme, I'll have to look that one up. You know what was funny? When I first got cable and the Daily Show in the early 2000s, it wasn't the first day. When I first watched the Daily Show in the early 2000s, I noticed that the theme song, I can't even sing it. My singing is awful. I'm a musician. I played trumpet for 30 years. I still can't freaking sing. But the Daily Show theme song from that era sounded very much similar to another Comedy Central show. I believe it was the one with Julie Brown. I think Downtown Julie Brown or something like that. They had very similar theme songs. So anyhow, I don't know why we're talking about that. Watch Ozu. You will love him. I'll have to look that one up. Alright, I'm not sure I'm a photographer, but I assume film works both ways. Dynamic range is catching up. Colors can be anything you want them to be. Storing them both have problems. Film and digital. Yeah. The thing I like about film and photography, because that's what I can afford, is the still film, is that there is a tactile realness to it. Like digital is wonderful if you're just interested in in creating the image. You get instant feedback. It hits everything. Like there's no mystery, but film is a mystery to me still, at least. There's always that you develop the film and you look at it for the first time and you're holding it like, oh wow, check that out. You actually see, there's a realness to it that you don't get with digital. But is the end result better than digital? I don't know. My limited capability, no, not yet. I can shoot better digital than I can shoot film, or get it into the computer. But anyhow, let's see here. Oh, there you go. Mary Rosner says she met Mimi visiting my cousin, and we went to a doctor's appointment, and Mimi was in the waiting room without makeup. She lost very weight, very sweet. Yeah, I bet she really is. That's only the sweetest people can play such horrible people. And we're talking about the Drew Carey show now. If you guys are not familiar, Mimi was this horrible, horrible, horrible witch of a person that Drew would just torture Drew Carey in his cubicle every single day. But it seems like it's the same thing with the Wicked Witch of the West. She's a very lovely lady. She's so sweet. Only the sweetest people can play truly awful people because they don't have the ego. I think that's part of it. Like if you had an ego, you wouldn't want to play the bad guy. You want everyone to like you. So. Oh, you're pulling quotes from my podcast, my live stream. One does not preclude the other. Exactly. I wish people would get that. Instead of saying that comic book movies are the death of all other movies. Like, no, they're not. So not to go back on this other, not to steal the thunder, right? But this whole thing with Wall Street bets and hedge funds, right? Hedge funds, I don't know if you guys realize this, but like hedge funds will short a stock, the same stock that they're also long on. So they both they're both shorting it and also owning it for the long term because they're hedging their bets. It's kind of what the hedge fund comes from. So everything's a game. It's all rigged for them, right? So a movie theater or movie producer will also do the same thing. They will hedge their bets. They will put out a big budget movie and they'll put out these other movies to try to garner, awards and all that and prestige. They're playing more than just playing one movie at a time. So yeah, they don't preclude each other. In fact, what happens is those big tentpole movies end up funding these small movies. There you go. This is a good recommendation for a movie. Gotti from HBO. Gotti was financed by, remember that Movie Pass company? Oh my God. I had a Movie Pass company. Good Lord. I don't know if I told the story in a while, but I had Movie Pass. If you don't know what Movie Pass is, you got this card. You would pay like 25 bucks a month. I promise, not the COVID. You pay $25 a month, and you would be able to go see any movie you wanted, and that was great. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So I would go I love these movie memberships because I would just go every weekend. I would just watch everything they had. I just would. Why not? It's awesome. So, and then MoviePass got like insolvent because people like me were watching every single movie. So what happened was they started reducing the number of movies that you could actually watch. So I wanted to watch Mission Impossible, whatever 6 or whatever was at that point was when this thing happened, and it said no, you can't watch that movie. The only movie you can watch was Slender Man. I'm like, Slender Man? That movie got like trashed at the reviews, man, and no one wanted to watch Slender Man. I want to watch Mission Impossible. It's been out for like 4 weeks. I want to finally see this dang movie. So yeah, I killed my Movie Pass after that. Like, Slender Man is my only choice I can watch. You gotta be kidding me. Oh boy, pre-COVID times. Those were good. Oh, here's a question. Whatever happened to my 2001 Lego rig? It's sitting out there somewhere, but it's probably in pieces because it's made out of Lego. And those kind of things don't survive. But guess what I have now? I have a 3D printer. I just have to learn how to use it. And then all these new beautiful experiments we can do with our 3D printing. Ooh, I've got some ideas. Well, one thing that's going to 3D print is a new dynamic range testing chart. That'd be cool. I mean, I got so many ideas. I don't even know how to 3D print yet. I don't have any clue how to 3D print. I know how to use 3D Studio Max, but I don't know how to 3D print anything. So that's going to be a learning curve. So don't expect a lot. Appreciating the art of cinema would be understanding and accepting all filmmakers' ideas, motives, and their own specific top projects. Yep. Yeah, it's like the great every frame and painting said. When he was, he had lots of videos on Michael Bay, like the Bayhem, and how like you can hate Michael Bay all you want. You gotta admit he does have a style, man. He does have something about him. But I mean, Michael Bay. Look, I don't love his movies, but there is something about him. All right, let's see. Oh, you guys are jumping. I'm trying to pick a quote here. There we go with this one here. This day and age, digital is way better quality, except larger film is made. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about shooting photography film, like I think, like I'm not super excited about shooting 35 millimeter film. Like to me, I'd rather shoot 35 millimeter digital. However, 4x5 film, yeah, I haven't experimented with medium format yet, but medium format looks fun. 4x5 is like, I really enjoy 4x5. So, and you can't do that digitally, like, or even affordably digitally. That's where I think film can still have a lot of, even for the amateur. Anyhow. So yeah, Greg Good Frog Entertainment says $10 a month here, and tickets were $15. I saw a movie and lost money. Yeah, Movie Pass. I think Movie Pass was trying to. I mean, it made sense if Movie Pass could have gotten a discount on tickets from the movie theaters, then they would have survived. But they couldn't, and they didn't bother to see it. And they didn't bother to see if they could figure that out before they wasted millions and millions of dollars. Never change Wall Street. Have you seen Jacob's Ladder? First movie I had nightmares. Oh yeah, I think I've seen it. It's been, yeah, it's a pretty crazy money. Let's see. Splike says, film can always be upscaled to match the new digital format. I'm not sure AI digital upscaling. Yeah, you know, film can be rescanned at a higher resolution. The problem with film, I mean, I guess good film, I mean, it depends on what you're shooting. You know, like, I know when I shoot my black and whites and I shoot, like, my still films, there is a limit. Like, you can't really pull 8K out of these. Again, I'm shooting more consumer format. Maybe my focus wasn't particularly good. The grain structure gets really evident quickly. I mean, I think at best, this when I shoot, well, the stuff I shoot and scan, and maybe my own processing, maybe my own scanning technique. 3K, 4K would be really pushing it. You know, as far as like quality, if I compare it to like a digital photo, like film is not nearly as robust as digital for still photography. But then again, it could also just be me not having the best equipment to handle that stuff. So, I mean, I for one could, for the average user, this versus your cell phone, oh, choose your cell phone, man. Could you imagine? Like, I mean, I have people that in my life that are very tech phobic, right? And like, I wouldn't try to explain to them like how to develop film versus just pulling out your phone and hitting a button and hey, photo done. I love that you can still see the little Nick Cage pillow back there. That's cool. All right, let's see. There we go. Bill says they need to stop making reboots, remakes, and remasters and sequels. I'm okay with sequels. I'm okay with all that stuff because I don't have to go watch them. Like, I mean, like, let's name some movies that are reboots. Ben-Hur was remade like 5 times. And the one that everyone talks about with Charlton Heston was like the 3rd incarnation of that movie. Godfather 2 was arguably maybe better than the first one. I mean, they have been, you know. Scarface is an example of another remake. Even I would say I believe Ocean's 11. Although I haven't seen the original one. I think the original one's probably not as entertaining as the new version. What other remakes can we think of? Let's see, sequels. You know, there are. Or Mad Max Fury Road was one of my. Oh, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite action movies of all. That's part of a series, so you know, I think you can remake anything. I think you can reboot anything you want. The problem with reboots and remakes is they're always going to be compared to the original. So anytime, you know, if I make a Citizen Kane remake, like yeah, you're going to face the popular backlash against that. So you got to calculate that into your marketing. You got to calculate the fact that, hey, no one wants to see a Citizen Kane remake. So there's that. So, but if you can find a movie that, you know, is maybe not so well known, but great story, maybe not told very, well enough during the time. I watched The Blob. The Blob was The Thing, another example of remakes that were probably The Fly, better than the originals. So, you know, but then again, I have no problem with Hollywood losing money. That's the great thing, you know. Like, I'm fine with remakes and reboots as long as they're not good. If they're not good, no one wants us to see them. They lose money. Good. I'll teach you. Make a better movie, damn it. So the free market the hand of the free market does come in and slap around the producers once in a while. Oh, I like the HBO. Oh, HBO Gotti. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Movie Pass. The movie Gotti. HBO Gotti was better than the Travolta POS. That's what we were talking about. Why do you think Nolan has been color grading his last 2 movies heavy into blue and green? Have they been? I guess they have. Well, the Tenet was kind of flatter looking. I didn't think there was a lot of blue and greens. There's a lot of shots in it with a lot of like earthier tones. But yeah, a lot of, you know, it may not always be Nolan. I think remember auteur theory, we credit Nolan with the color grading, but there's also a director of photography involved, and there is a colorist involved, and they probably all sit around and say, well, what's our mood board? What kind of colors are we going for? And then they kind of come together on a decision. And sure, Nolan does, you know, is Nolan's movie, so he says yes or no. But other people come to him and say, hey, what do you think of this style? You know, so it's a collaborative thing. I don't know why. Just think it's just the way it is. You know, just the style that they picked. So, what comment we're saying here? I didn't know. Oh, is that Operation? Like you watched a lot of gems. Yeah. Okay, I think he's talking about some of the Serbian movies. There you go. Nay Dolar says, I shoot 8x10. Tell you nothing comes close to feeling the definition you get from the background plays for 2001 were actually 8x10 photographs. 8x10 is a little bit outside my price range. 4x5 is my limit right now. But yeah, even 4x5 I feel like, wow. But 8x10 I'm like, whoa, crap. So I bet you, yeah, absolutely. What's my opinion on using filters for making digital look like film? I think it's a knife in the back coming to film from film photographer background. I don't really care. Really don't care. I mean, filters make digital look like film. I generally speaking, I'm not in favor of any kind of. I hate LUTs. I hate filters. I mean, I understand their place. That's the thing is understanding their place versus overusing them and just slapping them on like, oh, it's film, bingo, LUT, it's done. Yay! No, if you apply the filter, but then you dial it in, and you tweak some things, and you adjust this and that. Okay, there we go. That's very useful. But yeah, there we go. I've been a professional photographer for 30 years. Started with film. Darkroom was the whole nine. I'm not going back. I'd rather be a tourist in the world of film. I work in digital. I tour film and I play around. Get my water out and squeeze in things, and yay, fun. There you go. Emmanuel says, second word in the movie business. Business, if it makes money, it will be redone. I think a lot of people get upset with me when I talk about how much money a movie makes, as to whether that is a sign of its success. You know, and truthfully, there are movies that were not successful. We talked about The Fall recently. Financially successful, but that does kind of indicate the way it does not connect with an audience in a certain way. You know, I think a movie's success or financial success does in some way not illustrate, but does signify some level of success of the film itself, whether it can find and connect to the audience or not. And then of course, you know, like as far as that's when I talk about The Irishman. We'll never know how much money The Irishman made because Netflix won't let you know. But a movie that costs as much as The Irishman, which is like $150 million to make, versus a movie like Spider-Man Homecoming, which costs the same amount of money. Which movie do you think makes more money? And like people, well, how dare you? Well, you know, if you have $150 million burning a hole in your pocket, maybe you'd be more reticent to make that argument that it doesn't matter that we're spending $150 million, $150,000,000, the equivalent of basically a small community of housing for the average citizens. You know, maybe it was maybe 50 houses for people. Yeah, you know, of course. That doesn't matter because it's art. $150 million for one person, Martin Scorsese, to make a film. Yeah, sure. No, it doesn't. No, of course, money matters. Money matters. So if we're saying, that Scorsese can just go and spend, that kind of money and not make any money back, well, that's okay. It's art. That's just like you're so far removed from reality of filmmaking. Because all you people do is pay $10, $15 to go to a movie theater. Realize, shit, there's $150 million at stake here, and then that $15 gets split up half to the movie theater and half to the film itself. So I mean, it's trickling down. Anyhow. There we go. No Door is going to respond with black and white 8x10 is quite affordable. Color 8x10 is around $50 per sheet. Yeah, shit. But seeing an 8x10 slide on light table is the closest thing to magic I've ever experienced. Yeah, but still, like, I'm at the point where I'm paying $1 for a 4x5. 8x10 would be, like $4, $5. And I don't have an 8x10 camera, and those are a little more expensive than 4x5 cameras. Yeah, you can print an 8x10 without a larger, which is pretty fucking awesome. Let's be honest, that's pretty sweet. There you go. But Boone says, Digital film has democratized content creation, and the market has shifted drastically because of it, both to the better and worse. Absolutely agree with you. That's the thing, like another argument, again, here I go, talking about 24 frames a second. But 24 frames a second, they say, it covers up the flaws. It covers up the bad CGI, the poor set making. It covers up all the flaws. And I think to myself, why wouldn't you want that to be covered up? Why do you want to make art less democratic and less available to the popular people? Why do you want to make art so that only people who are the very, 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 very best, the top 0.001%, that only they can make the art? Why would you want that? We want to make art accessible to everybody. Let everybody be. I love the fact that everybody can go out there and make a movie, because not everybody will. But I love the fact that I can. I love the fact that I can. Hell, I'm probably the worst businessman in the world. Maybe not the worst, but here I am, like 20 years of my career, and I'm still solo working here. I mean, I have people come in and out and help me out, but like, I couldn't do this unless I had democratic equipment, you know? Anyhow. Luca Paggio says, there's a difference in USA and Europe regarding a money and art in movies, very different standpoints. I don't agree with that. I think you're characterizing USA films as a certain type of film. And the fact of the matter is, in Europe, there is not the kind of Hollywood machinery that U.S. has. Because, I mean, a lot of what happens in the Europe is that the kind of machinery, I think, if it gets big enough, it goes to Hollywood. And then Hollywood distributes it worldwide. So, I mean, we also, in the U.S., we also have very kind of regional style film, or films that are aimed for us more regional audiences, you know. I think with European, I mean, it's a little different with European because you do have each individual, nation is its own like market. So you have a Swedish film may not play, may be aiming for the Swedish audiences, but it may not be aimed also for the Greek market. But in Hollywood's films are aimed almost for Hollywood films are aimed for the world audiences. Like, that's why Hollywood is so like just licking the heels of China, because they want that audience. Like, Hollywood's audience is the world. So, and then there are a lot of, American films that are really aimed for American audiences. But the American audience, I mean, America is a larger collection of kind of similar culture. So, I mean, I guess my point is, like, you can have a Czechoslovakian film that really plays well with Czechoslovakia, but doesn't play well with England or Ireland, right? So you can have more regional films, whereas in the United States, a California film will tend to play just fine in Peoria, Illinois, or Chicago, or any of these places. So anyhow, I think it's interesting to think about. Emmanuel says, catch you later. Talk to you later, Emmanuel. Take care. Stay safe. Godspeed, Emmanuel. Godspeed. Pleasant journeys. Bill Simser says, I was a cell animator back in the 80s, and it would take us months and months for minutes of film. It would be on my laptop these days. I can do the same myself in a few days. Yeah, I love to talk about this. There's something called Blind's Law. If you're not familiar with Blind's Law, it is the guy that invented it was, I think, Arthur Blind. I'm sure what his first name was. The creator of like modern, one of the shading techniques of CGI. He said, no matter how fast computers get, rendering time remains constant. And that's my favorite paradox in my life. Because no matter how much better our computers are, how much better our film gear is, it's still going to take the same amount of time to turn around that product. Because the more we are empowered, the more we end up doing. So if you're building like a studio, a CGI studio, if it takes 10 hours to render something now, it'll take 10 hours to render something 10 years from now. It will not change. Because I think ultimately the forces that drive things like render time are really more economic than they are computational. That's a smart thing to say, John. That made me feel real smart to say that. I feel my IQ just went up. Ding! Ah, I was smarter for saying something like that. Because I figured something out. I didn't even think about it. Baboon's back with another comment saying, the moment DSLRs with decent video cameras came out, MK2, yep, Mark II, I restarted my childhood dream, dropping it all to have chasing movie making scenes. Since film is an exclusive club, digital is accessible. Yeah. Yeah, for better or worse, and DSLRs, it's kind of funny how DSLRs, when they started happening, like basically the whole concept of video camera turned on its head. We're at a point where young kids now, I say young as in like people starting off, and I would recommend it, but think of a photo camera as a video camera. Like, to me, a video camera is a camcorder. It's not like these DSLRs are not really video cameras. They're kind of like video cameras, but now like everybody assumes that, like a Digital Rebel is a video camera. Like, and to me, like I still draw that line. Jim Blinn, thank you, Rick Mills, corrected me with Blinn's last name, first name, which is Rick. Jim, sorry, crazy me. Oh. Derek Roberts, I want so bad to grow a long beard, but that would totally offend my mom. I keep rubbing my beard while I'm talking on stream. Oh, I heard about this movie. I watched the movie Chlorine that was only released on YouTube. Maybe I've heard of that, but it's surprisingly not that bad. I'm wondering if these good feature-length films on YouTube, I mean made for YouTube only, not old ones that have been uploaded. There probably are. When you think of British film, do you think Downton Abbey, Johnny English, or Full Month? We seem to be very low, very BBC, down to earth. Maybe it's the money. I'm trying to make sure I get the proper kind of full month, not full month. All right, not quite sure. I don't, when I think of British films, I tend to think more of. I don't know. I don't think of Downton Abbey, honestly. I'm trying to think what you mean. More Danny Boyle style stuff. I mean, I'm not honestly. I'll be frank. I'm not that into English British film scene. Or Edgar Wright kind of stuff, maybe. But I will say I do enjoy a lot of British television, I guess. Oh, there you go. Pedro says I'm watching you and rendering something in the other window. That's a good use of your rendering time. Absolutely. Nay Dolores says 455 is my main go-to. I shoot studio with Signer P2 outdoors with an Intrepid. Yeah, I once tried to run around the Grand Canyon with a Toyo 4x5. Damn thing slipped out of my tripod and cracked a few pieces. And I'm like, I'm not carrying this Toyo 4x5 studio monorail camera around. It's too damn heavy. So I got myself an Intrepid, and I still haven't. I shot a couple things with the Intrepid, but I haven't really spent much time. I want to finish my set studio so I can get back to do some photography. Once the COVID, bring some people in, do some headshots, stuff like that. I want to do some headshots with film because I haven't done them. I haven't done really headshots at all, or people, skin tones and stuff like that. Hippie says, thanks for the compliment on the podcast name, Cannabis Coffee Community and Fun Conversation. There you go. Certain Exposures says, will you make a special Valentine's Day post on how to love a camera? Hey, very carefully. That's how you do it. Thoughts on the red Komodo? Don't care. Honestly, don't care about cameras. I get the cameras I have, and I don't care about any other camera. I don't care about no Blackmagic 6K, 10K, 12K, red Komodo. Red's like the least on my list because like I've decided that red is just out of my range, my price range. There you go. Risto says watch Snatch, and people are complaining about not understanding what they're saying in Tenet. That's for sure. Certain attitudes say 4x5 slide portraits. Oh yeah, slide film is another thing I've never tried yet. I want to try slide film. Mr. Bean is my favorite for its subtlety. Mr. Bean is. I I've watched or read some interviews with Rowan Atkinson about how he approaches Mr. Bean. I mean, it's very. I mean, Mr. Bean is for all its silliness, is very, very, very well thought out. It's. I mean, it is a pantomime. It's like miming. It really is. It's close to mime without having the white face and the oh my god, I'm in a box kind of a thing. So it's very, it's Buster Keaton style physical humor, and it's tough. It's not as easy as just hopping on a webcam and talking for 2 hours every Wednesday around 6. As useless as I do. There you go. Operation Baboon says the next movie I want to shoot on the Blue Black Magic Pocket camera. The only thing I don't like about the pocket camera is I don't like the fact that you don't have ND filters. And I know that probably would have made that camera a lot more bulkier. But that to me is like a death knell for that camera. If you might just get the Ursa. The Ursa's, I know it's more money, but yeah, not even the same class really. But that's my problem with the pocket camera. Alrighty, let's see here. Slide film does look amazing when you leave it on a light table. Nothing I don't have is a light table. I just have a scanner. But I do need to get a light table or something. Oh, there you go. Yusuf Karsh is a portrait photographer. He's a great 20th century photographer. I'll have to check him out. He used to do a lot more photography. Looking or studying that. Filmmaker, he used to post a lot of pictures and do a lot of celebrity pictures, but now we don't do anything anymore. The cartoon Mr. Bean is just annoying with a lot of grunting. I haven't even seen the cartoon. Operation Baboon wants some help. He has a log line. If people want to give him some feedback, drop it in the comments and we'll chat it all up. I know now I'm getting low energy, man. Low energy. J.K. Axley says cameras are just tools. Just use what you have and what you can afford. I agree 100%. Cameras are important. They are important tools, but they are tools. Someone put a compilation of Buster Keaton stunts on YouTube. Crazy stuff what he did all in one take. Yeah, all in one take where you die stuff. Amazing. Buster Keaton, but the other one that I really enjoy is the guy, the clock tower guy, Harold Lloyd. Harold Lloyd, look him up. And it was actually Futurama that kind of got me into Harold Lloyd. Bean, the film about him sneezing while guarding the Mona Lisa. Yeah. Spike says connects Mr. Bean with Jacques Tati. Yeah, very much so. I think even Rowan Atkinson would probably admit that. Serge Play says, "Hello, filmmaker. What's your favorite Steven Spielberg movie?" I'd probably be Jurassic Park. If not Jurassic Park, then Raiders would probably be the next on the list. Then Jaws. I'm the old school Spielberg. I like the older stuff, but you can't. Spielberg is one of those people that's so damn good that you get tired of him being so damn good. You're like, okay, Steven Spielberg, you're good, but you're too damn. His later stuff is a little. His more modern stuff is a little bit like, all right, whatever, Steven. I wasn't crazy about the last couple films of his. Bridge of Spies is pretty good. I'll give him that. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I gotta write home about this. But anyhow, let's take a look at the Operation Baboon's logline. On the losing side of some nameless war, two soldiers of conflicting virtue tasked with the protection of a strategic most important coffer, a chest of unknown content, flee the enemy's pursuit into the dark woods where they soon find themselves haphazardly and clumsily navigating a series of obscure trials and tribulations. When everyone they meet is drawn to the chest they shield as if it held all the world's promises. Crew. I'm not sure what the crew is. So the only problem I have with that log line is it's a lot of kind of describing what they have, but not, or it's a lot of adjectives and not a lot of verbs, I guess. Maybe put it that way. So you're describing like virtue, like conflicting virtues. Well, what are their conflicting virtue? Task with protection of a strategically most important coffer. So that's a MacGuffin, essentially, or yeah, it's kind of like a MacGuffin. So what's the point? A chest of unknown content, flee them or dark wood. They find haphazardly, clumsily navigating a series of obscure trails. But what are those trials and tribulations? Like, so you gotta. I think the log line needs to have more action in it, because you described basically a lot of movies. It can go anywhere. Your log line can go any which way imaginable. So you gotta give me something like, which way are you gonna take this? So I think that's my opinion. So you guys can throw in your opinions in the comments there if you want. Christo, thanks for hanging out, man. Hopefully you catch you before you leave. Take care, man. Everyone forgets Spielberg's Always. I haven't even heard of that one. 1946, 1940, whatever. So imagine like a Cloak and Dagger, Italo-Western, and Homer. Okay. Well, I think with their logline, you gotta get a little more, like, give me more Cloak and Dagger. See, I think the logline is a little too poetic, and I'd rather get more like a more. Tell me more what the story is, rather than like haphazardly trials and tribulations, that kind of thing. I'd rather like less TV listing of what the movie is, and more of like something to latch on to. Hippie Speedball Podcast has an idea. 2 big pharma scientists discover the cure for a deadly disease. Soon their lab and stuff is destroyed, so they turn into a street drug and sell it in the black market. So that's more of a log line, because then you've got your setup and your action, destroyed lab, and they turn to street drugs, sell in the black market. So that's more of a there's your action. You can kind of vision already where the story's going with that. But yeah, I mean, that'd be entertaining. I mean, if it's a comedy, I don't know if is that a comedy or is that a reality movie drama that's a little too detailed. So Operation Moose says, I can't keep it short and can't add detail and keep it short like that. Well, the thing is though, it's already too long. You gotta get rid of your words. You gotta get rid of those adjectives, man. It's just too much like poetry in there. You gotta like give me some meat. Give me some verbs. Less adjective, more verbs, I guess is the rest of the what's it called? Prescription. Is that song, right? I don't know. Don't show me. Don't love me when you can show me. What's my opinion of 3-strip Technicolor? Loved it of its time. Yeah. Alrighty. I already answered. It's no longer a log line. No, it's not a log line now, man. It's a flowery description of something. I need a story. 2 soldiers stumble into greedy people. Well, okay, but like, what's the greedy people going to do? Like, I'm just saying, like, you can tell me that I can't tell you more, but like, you realize you're hurting yourself if you're not giving me the enough to work with, and just say, well, you'll find out more if you're interested. I'm like, fine, I'm not interested. So you gotta dangle more bait in that hook. You gotta bait that hook more. That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, I can't put more bait on. You gotta get rid of the other stuff. Give me some bait. There you go. Bend over. I love that name. First sentence, who, what? Second sentence, the question answered by the end. Yeah, I think that's the thing. So but that's my point. If I add more detail, it's not getting shorter. No, it will get shorter if you get rid of all your other stuff. So let's go back. Okay, I'm going to go back here. We'll go back to your comment. On the losing side of some nameless war. None of that matters. Get rid of that. 2 soldiers. That's what matters. Of conflicting virtue. What does that mean? Conflicting virtue. It's pointless. It's a pointless detail. 2 soldiers are tasked with the protection of a strategically most important coffer. Okay, so awkward sentence. 2 soldiers are tasked. Again, that's a passive sentence. 2 soldiers are tasked. So 2 soldiers are, again, tasked to protect. That's like a passive voice. 2 soldiers must protect a strategically important coffer. That's there you go. Get rid of all of that. Now we have a chest of unknown content. That doesn't matter. Get rid of that. Flee enemy pursuit in the dark woods. Well, okay. Where they soon find themselves haphazardly and clumsily navigating a series of obscure trials and tribulations. Where everyone they meet is drawn to the chest they shield as if they all held the world's promises. Okay. So none of that tells me anything. So 2 soldiers are tasked to protect an important coffer. Okay, so what are they going to do? Do they have to deliver that coffer? So if it's 2 soldiers have to deliver a coffer, but are they just there to protect it? Say, so maybe the logline be more like 2 soldiers must protect a coffer, and then I'm going to butcher it now, but then they encounter give your antagonist like a name. They encounter a magic sorceress. I know I'm making stuff up here. I'm not part of your story. And the magic sorceress enchants them with something. You know, now I'm failing and I'm looking like an asshole online. What I'm saying is, you have your protagonist, give me a little bit of your antagonist, and have them give me like, okay, what's their motivation? And then maybe a little hint about what happens when they fight. Because right now, I mean, that story of the 2 soldiers, they go through the pursuit in a dark wood, that could be Snow White and the Huntsman. You know, that's literally, where's my brain going with that? Where's the story going with this? They are drawn to the chest they shield as if they held all the world's promises. Like, well, okay, well, it's the suitcase from Pulp Fiction. You know, it ultimately doesn't matter what exactly is in there. So anyhow, not to pick on you, but I thought it'd be fun to kind of see like what I'm saying as far as like what that logline needs is cut away the fluff, get to the point, get to the there's an old story about an editor took like a grandmaster German filmmaker, and he was how the story goes. It's like he's explaining like they showed him this film of the cut of the film, and he was like this. You need to cut this like a porno, and get to the fucking point. I don't know how that goes. Yeah, so that's I forget what I'm going with that. It's not really adding more detail. It's about like the hook that needs to be there. So okay. All right. So you're saying you're trying to justify yourself. Don't do it because you're losing, dude. This is not a game. I'm helping you out. Like if you want to argue with me, you're just hurting your own project. I'm trying to tell you, I don't care about setting up. You're not here to set up the main characters and the reason they're on the run. Like you can say that. You can just say like two soldiers who are AWOL, 2 soldiers escaping from their own side or something. There's other ways to set up. You don't need to go through all this like you're not. And then a logline isn't there to set up stuff. It's there to be short and sweet, get you hooked into the story, get you saying, okay, I got to read the rest of that. And the way your logline reads is just like it doesn't have that. It has It's a flowery description of something that that could go anyway, and I don't have any flavor of really what the story is, other than it's nameless war, which it's like, okay, well, that's another problem. Nameless war. What do you mean by that? I mean, when you described it, I immediately thought 1917. So I'm imagining the Great War. Are you imagining the Great War? Are you imagining Vietnam? Are you imagining Desert Storm? Are you imagining the 100 Years' War? Are you imagining the Roman, conquests? What's a nameless war? If you don't name it, it doesn't help. I know, I'm picking on you, Baboon. I love you, man. I love you hanging out with me. I'm trying to help you out. Again, so you're defending yourself, saying they argue about it, and they are opposing ends of the coffer's handles. Details, man. I'm not interested in the details. I need the hook. I need something to get into your story. All right, I'll come back to you. Hippie Speedball. We'll circle back. Hippie Speedball podcast. So my idea is a crime drama, thinking like Breaking Bad meets Sons of Anarchy. 3 main characters end up getting mixed in tons of different worlds: gangs, big pharma, the government, cartels, etc. Okay. So I think, so contrasted with what Hippie Speedball was, his logline, which was basically, here's the setup of these characters, their dilemma, and then what they do to solve the dilemma. Now, I don't know how to exactly apply that to the coffer story. So, and then David Bro says, I have 120 hertz hum. I'm sure you know exactly what 120 hertz sounds like. I have no idea what 120 hertz sounds like. That's probably one of the fans in here, like a computer fan. Yeah. There you go. Clown Zero. 2 New York City firefighters responding to 9/11 attacks discover the hive of evil clowns in the basement of a collapsing World Trade Center, and they must struggle to escape with their lives. That is one effing logline. Holy moly. Clown Zero. Wait, okay, so there's a hive of evil clowns. Oh my god. You guys watch the most recent Red Letter Media where they did the abortion clinic movie? Oh, that sounds like the same kind of horrible. Yeah, the abortion clinic movie was like, the logline was like, Ashley's going to get an abortion, but her aborted fetus comes to life and kills everybody. You're like, wow. So anyhow, so New York firefighters responding to 9/11 attacks. Okay, so we set the scene. We set our main characters. Discover a hive of evil clowns. Okay, there is your inciting action in the basement of the collapsing World Trade Center. Okay, and then you can so we've got the setup. Now you know what the setup is, and then they must struggle to escape with their lives. So we can explain that can be explained later. We don't need the details. That's a log line. That is a log line. So, shit, man. Thank you, Left Hand Puppetry. Thank you very much for that. Is that a real movie, or is that your log line? Because you could probably, I will bet you could probably sell that somewhere. The World Trade Center, maybe not. Maybe it's a little too sensitive, but boy, you might be able to sell that. Thanks, Dolar, for talking about the dynamic range video. That's a very important video for my own life, my own personal thoughts in life, too. So yeah, hey, no problem, Bamboo Man. Don't mind the critique. Yeah, just trying to help you out, man. I know I'm picking on you, but that's what I do. So that's what I worry sometimes too. Like if I do a critique on people's movies, like. I don't know if you want me to do your critique. Okay, so Baboon, you got another stab at it. I feel this is better. 2 soldiers flee a lost war into the dark woods, where they soon find themselves fighting off carnies, witches, and old bandits, all after a chest they have been tasked to protect. I like that way better. Way better. The only thing I would just add is just give me a context of what war are we talking about. Are we talking about a modern war? Are we talking about are we talking about like a medieval war, or what? Just give me a little bit more detail on the war. Like what kind of war are we talking about? That will help us place the time period too. But I like that because now you got a little more detail. I think it's still this is not like arguing that this is now an argument that's really operation. You said, well, technically it doesn't really matter. It does, because you're trying to sell this idea to me. So I need to have that. I need to have something to latch my imagination to, as far as what, because I might envision Vietnam in my head, and then you give me the script, and it's like, this is sword and sorcery. It doesn't work. So you could set. Well, you say you could set it in any area and play around with the budget and ideas. There's a difference between like bows and arrows and guns, and it implies, and also like if it's a modern war, why don't they have radios? Why don't they have cell phones? So just give me something to latch onto. If like otherwise, you could just like, here's hero's journey. It could be set anything. You could set it anywhere. Just use your imagination. I could play with the budget, no problem. So give me. Oh, there we go. So it's instinct is 16th or 17th century. So I'm not sure. Maybe somebody can help with that. But like I would add something like, just there you go. There's a solution. 2 musketeers flee a lost war into the. That helps a lot. Darkwood, they soon find themselves fighting off carnies, which is after the chest they have been tasked for. There you go. I think that's much better. I think musketeers helps it out. So now the only other argument, or the only other critique I would give, is it still feels like there's not the hook. I mean, I think you have the format in down. The format's there, as far as like the way it's structured, the way the logline is structured, but it needs a little spark still. It still needs like a spark. It needs something that like gets you like, I gotta read this. So, because I mean, 2 musketeers, 2 people go in the woods and fight off carnies. That's like a lot of stuff, And I'm not harping on you. This is hard. This is the hardest part. The hardest part is that spark, that like, man, I want to read that kind of thing. That's hard. It really is hard. Here's a question that's worth checking out. Is it possible to have 2-act structure that works? The way I define 3-act structure is no. You can't have a 3-act. Yeah. No, you can't have 2-act structure that works. It is ultimately 3 acts, because it's always a beginning, middle, and end. That's the way I look at 3-act structure. I don't follow the very specific 3-act structure of like inclining action, declining action, blah, blah, blah. No. To me, it's beginning, middle, end. Setup, the complication, payoff. Setup, complication, payoff. That's always, that's everything. 3 acts. And you can define it in all kinds of ways. You can break it into 5 acts. You can do whatever you want. To me, it's always 3, beginning, middle, end. Setup, complication, payoff. Always in almost all, no, always in that order. Even Pulp Fiction is 3 acts. And even though the middle act in time is moved forward and back, it still has an emotional beginning, middle, and end. So that's the way I look at it. Now, if you want to call it 2-act structure, 3-act structure, you can say whatever you want. Broadway plays are 2 acts generally, so sure. Not to beat that point more. Nay, Dollars, what do we have in 2021? What should we expect? Lots of stuff. 3D printing, new set. Hopefully me not being so damn tired all the time from COVID and shit. Future war from outer planets, planet unknown. The Expanse reference? I don't know. I reject your reality and replace it with my own. Substitute with my own. I don't think they can make any more Porky's movies. Probably not. Yeah, Marilyn Manson movies aren't going to be coming out either. Oops, too soon? Oh, never mind. He seemed like such a nice young man, too. Marilyn Manson. Such a nice young man. Chef was the closest thing I could think that felt like a 2-act, because there really wasn't a 3rd act. Wasn't there? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember the ending of Chef. Didn't Chef go off and make his little dining car thing? Oh wait, spoilers. There you go. Here's a question. Yes. Oh, Rigel 7. Rigel 7 was already used. I remember you. Hi, welcome. I know it's a no, but is there any way to fix high ISO in post, especially since my instructor suggested this setting? Was the rest of my comment? I don't see the rest of it. Do I have my thing on 200? Nope. Okay. Yes, there is a way to fix high ISO in post. Like if you're talking about noise, there are noise canceling programs out there. Neat Video is probably one of the best out there. Probably the best as far as getting rid of noise. Neat Video, N-E-A-T Video. It's not cheap. It's not super expensive. It's not cheap. It's not. Little Jordan Peterson there. It's not cheap. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the way to fix it. If you're overexposed, you are, and if you look at the vector form and it's flat, yeah, you done screwed up. Sorry, but noise can be kind of fixed. It will look a little soft, but it can be kind of fixed. All right, let's see what else got. 2X, he would just keep cooking. There you go. What 3D printer are you buying? I already bought it. I bought it as on December 30th as a way to screw the IRS. I'm like, I'm not giving the IRS my tax dollars. I can buy a 3D printer. I bought the Ender 5. Ender 5. So it's a very Ender's game. That's what we're doing. Ender's Game 5. Oh, there we go. What is your favorite lens company? Panavision, Cook, and etc. Why? Great content. My favorite lens company is whatever lenses I own. I think I like. I mean, if I had my druthers and I could work with anybody, I would definitely call up Panavision and be like, hey, can I get your lenses? Because you guys are known for like the top of the line lenses. If I could afford Cook, sure. Zeiss, like Zeisses are nice, man. Zeiss compacts and those cinema lenses are fantastic. But Cook, yeah, like I just don't have any experience with any of those high end lenses. I just don't. So I would, like a beggar like me would not the one to ask. It's like asking what's your favorite Chateau Marmont vintage year. You'd be like, whatever they give me. Rigel 7 says, yeah, it's overexposed. We were shooting at 200 or so. She said, bump it up to 800 because that, oh my God, no. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, there's nothing you can do to fix that. If it's overexposed and it's like peaking in a WAV file, you can't fix a peak. So yeah, you're done. It's fried. Don't ever listen to people tell you native ISO. I mean, native ISO is like the most destructive concept in the whole freaking universe. People are like, oh, shoot native ISO all the time. Like, oh, come on. Expose properly. Watch my videos. My videos don't have, I mean, I think that video's got about 100,000 views so far. So it's got a little bit of legs on that one. But some of those videos, like I thought I was making more of a dent with my 60i video. The whole video about how 60i is really 60 frames a second. But that video is only like 30,000 views. It's not that many. But I'm surprisingly, no one since I made that video has gone onto my 24 frames a second and say, oh, you think 60i is 60 frames a second? You're stupid. No one, that argument has died. So good for me. Good for me. Changing this argument. JSP and trying to try filmmaking. I can use Carl Zeiss 2835 2.8. Good. Use whatever you got, man. If you can get it, you get it. 2835s, those are not bad ones to start with. If you had a 500 millimeter lens, I'd say, yeah, you might want to consider something a little bit shorter. But 2835, sure. Yeah, knock yourself out. Some people shoot entire movies on 28 and 35 millimeter. Entire movies, whole thing. Yeah, there you go. Alrighty. Michael Scott, buy more Bitcoin. I was telling the story to my friend Tim today, and I'll tell it online. I honestly am so scared of Bitcoin. I wouldn't touch it. I don't touch any market stuff anymore. I used to, because I was a kid. I was hugely into markets, but I started getting the sense that it was all very, very random and then somewhat rigged. I got that sense at a very young age, because when my high school economics class came up with this game, we would go online and they give us like $10,000 paper money, fake money, and we would invest it, and then whoever at the end of the month had the highest total would get like an In-N-Out burger gift certificate. So I turned that $10,000 into $1 billion because I discovered a loophole, way to really to jam the system, and that was because the system, when you made a trade, you would get that price right then and there, but the price was delayed 15 minutes. So if you knew what stocks were going to go up in the next 15 minutes, you could make a quick in and out, and you'd make instant money, right? And then we discovered the trick was to wake up right when markets opened and look at the stocks that had the biggest percentage jump. And those are oftentimes like penny stocks that were going up like 50%, right? And then put all your money in the thing, and then 15 minutes later it would go 50% and you would dump it. And he would just do that over and over again. And I was able to turn $10,000 into $1 billion. And another friend of mine, who wasn't even in the class, took it to like 50 billion. It was ridiculous. But anyhow, so that's why I'm not a big fan of any of these things. But I can understand some of the appeal of the Bitcoin. But anyhow, let's go back to Rigel Sevens here comment. Actually, I'll just hit up Nate Dollars. Good rule of thumb is exposing for the shadows and develop for the highlights. In the digital world, you have to do it the opposite way. You almost have to expose for the highlights and then develop the shadows, because the highlights will get you in trouble. But anyhow, Rigel 7 says, gets worse, John. You're already about 45 minutes behind. We came in and gave us a crash course on lighting and ISO, which took us 30 minutes. You could have watched my video. Well, my dynamic range is 40-minute video. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I get it. People want to feel special and teach stuff they don't understand. I feel bad. Oh well. Lesson learned. Hey, at least you weren't being paid like a professional job on that thing. All right, Operation got another chance here. 2 musketeers flee a futile war in ancient woods where they have outwit carnies, witches, old bandits protect an officer's chest, which holds all their dreams and hopes. It's not bad. I think it's the problem is still there. The problem is that it's still very generic. That was the word I'm looking for. Holds all their dreams and hopes is a very generic. Like everything holds all of my dreams and hopes. But then who's after the chest? Why are they after the chest? Or could it be that the chest? Because one of the things that's kind of fun, I'm not suggesting this, but I'm saying if the wife of the old soldier's the husband of the witch in the woods, his heart is in the casket, in the basket or whatever. Terrible ideas, right? These are absolutely. I'm frustrated even with myself how terrible that idea was. But anyhow, but you see, there's a connection now. The reason why she's after because the casket, the coffer holds the heart of there's something a little bit more there. I think that would kind of help. Again, somebody's asking, is the officer the bad guy? Yeah, I'm not sure. Writers' workshops is something we need more of for sure. I think your live streams could do that. Okay, sure, why not? I mean, I'm not doing anything else with these live streams. Hey, super cartoonist, get your new profile pic there. Yeah, I enjoy that part of filmmaking so much. Is like some of the story aspects of it. Dealing with kind of the larger pictures, concepts, writers' rooms. I love talking about acting, and when we talk about choices in acting and things like that. I mean, that's one of my popular videos, and one of my favorite ones was that acting exercise where we took that same script and did it 5 different ways. That was so much fun to do. So I like that stuff. We should do more of that. Do you think there's a way to mimic motion in the Spider-Verse movie, whatever, with live action? Yes, there's a way. Maybe shoot a lower frame with a higher shutter speed and play it back at 24. Yeah, just I was going to do a video about how to do a long shutter speed, but there's plugins. I forget the posterized time. You can do posterized time to get that, to turn that 24 into 12. That's easy. Just repeat each frame twice. That's what it does. Have I checked out the 4K release of Lord of the Rings? I haven't seen the Lord of the Rings since I first saw it. I'm not that crazy about Lord of the Rings. Baboon says the idea is that they believe the content to be what they seek individually. It is a MacGuffin, and uncompromisingly that. Nobody knows what's inside, and that's what fuels the imagination. The thing is, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to argue against that. The only thing is, like, don't make it too, like, if you were to give a logline for Pulp Fiction, you wouldn't necessarily give the detail about the suitcase, although you might. But I don't think it would be as crucial. So I'm not sure if that needs to be in the log line. I don't know. You can make an argument for a lot of ways. All right, let's see here. Super cartoonist, your icon shows that whatever that I see there on the screen. So, what time is it? 6:20. Oh my God, I've been on here for 2 hours. All right. We'll take a few more chats and hang out for a little bit more, and I'm going to go install a couple fluorescent lights, move a desk into my back there, and then probably go home and relax. I gotta get up crack ass dawn early, man, tomorrow. Oh man. Older Tantry says, yeah, it's hard to give a logline about a film that has 3 different stories. Yeah, Pulp Fiction. Yeah, that's tough. Ben Dover's got his comment here. Fleeing a lost war, 2 musketeers must protect the officer's chest, which holds their dreams. But can they outwit the carnies, witches, and bandits in the dark woods before they lose it all? I like the way you're going with that, Ben. That's pretty. I like the flow of that. What Ben did here was interesting is that he turned into a question. So it's not like we don't know that they will survive. It becomes can they survive? Can they do it without losing it all? Good job, Ben. That's cool. Super Cartoonist finally got his image to make it look like me. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, but Ben, going back to your point. That's a good way of taking it. I like that. Again, the like I said, the only, and we're getting to the last 5%, right? Because we got the last 5% is make it a little bit less generic. You know what? And I'm going to focus on carnies, witches, and bandits. That's an interesting collection, isn't it? Carnies. So there's carnival folks working along with the witches. It's like an interesting collection, which might be worth exploring. You know, I don't know. That's what's fun about the art too. You know, the we can sit around and talk about this, and I appreciate also that the fact that we can do this. I can do this at least. You guys have to communicate with me through text, and maybe eventually we'll be able to do it like a video stream or something, like video call in. But I can communicate to you guys in my voice, which hopefully does not make it sound like I'm an asshole and trying to rip people apart for arguing about certain things. Anyhow, another take on it. Fleeing a lost war, 2 musketeers must protect the officer's chest everyone is after. But can they outwit the carnies, witches, and highwaymen of the dark woods before they lose it all? Ooh. I think, yeah, I mean, it works. It works. The question is, does it sell? Does it sizzle yet? It does work. We are at the point where it is working. But now we need to make it sizzle. I'd use an Oxford comma. Fuck the Oxford. I don't know whether or not I'm for the Oxford comma anymore. I don't remember which one it is. I think I generally like to put the comma before the and. That's whatever that's for. I generally do that, although I don't always. It's how I feel that day. Carney is a troupe of actors, musicians, and criminals. Really, their leader is a con man that tries to trick them with games. Okay, that kind of Carney. I think a carnival worker. That's what I think, carnival. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely there. I would be happier with that log line than the original one. Definitely. Much better with that. Rocky Sigkender says, hi, could you please tell me what lights were used in the movies like Terminator 2 and The Rock for blue color? I don't know. I know the 80s and 90s had lots of blue lights. Probably HMIs. They're blue looking. Sure. I love those questions like, what kind of lights did they use? What kind of camera did you use? I don't know. Oh, older theaters. An action film where everybody's on roller skates and that's never explained why. Gold. Is that, the movie Gold? Or are we going to talk about Andrew Lloyd Webber's most insane Starlight Express? Starlight Express. And please answer yes. Do. The show is so stupid, it's all on roller skates. It's about trains too. If you thought Cats was insane, it'd be Starlight Express. Oh my god. You think Cats is crazy? Starlight Express was like seriously the most cocaine leveled. I saw as a kid, I saw as a kid who loved Cats and watched Starlight Express. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't like this. and I listened to the music for it, and I'm like, this is horrible. Horrible. Nay Dollar says, I need to buy... Oh, come on. Why isn't this going now? Ah, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Buy an 8x10 camera or print it. Oh, there's an idea. I should print an 8x10 camera. I could probably use, can I use the lens? I don't know if the lens would cover. Probably not. I probably need a longer lens for. I was going to see if I could use my 4x10 camera, 4x5 camera to cover the 8x10, but probably not long enough, I guess. Probably wouldn't cover it. Yeah, Operation Bad Bun. I hope we got something out of it today's podcast. You tuned in to see me bitch about something, and then maybe you got a better logline out of it. Yay. So, look forward to keep developing that story some more. Do I have any experience with facial motion capture? No. I would like to get some. I've got so many things on my to-do list, it's ridiculous. Why is the genre of tragic comedy so uncommon? Oh, do you think it's one of the most difficult? I don't know. Is it that uncommon? Like a lot of my favorite movies are tragic comedies. I mean, well, I don't know. Maybe not your definition of tragic comedy. Like American Beauty is kind of a tragic comedy. The Weatherman with Nick Cage, I believe, that was a tragic comedy, kind of. It's pretty tragic. Kind of funny. I like a lot of comedy, a lot of tragic movies that have a lot of comedy because you need something to balance out the tragedy, and nothing hurts more than something that like it's when you're down and you're like, ooh, and then there's a laugh, and it works, and it's awesome. And Super Cartoonist wants to give people their own custom icon, so get a hold of him. He'll make you a picture of you. Actually, does look kind of like me, doesn't it? It does. You did a pretty good likeness there. What should we make for YouTube? Short films or web series gain more subs for an audience? You should make whatever you want. One of the shows I've been watching, it's like a animation where they do like they'll record the animation and then they will rotoscope it, by drawing over it, and then they'll use this program that will track the face. They did a pretty good job, and I was surprised, oh, it's 24 frames a second. Anyhow, not to talk about frame rate all the time, but YouTube, it's weird. Like whatever hits on YouTube is not always logical. So I would just say, whatever you do for YouTube, make sure it's sustainable more than anything, because there's no point. I mean, there's a little point in like putting out one or two hits, but that doesn't really push you forward in the space. And like one of the things I've been watching, I enjoyed is Sassy Justice by the South Park guys, and so basically it's kind of like making fun of face swapping. Well, not face swapping, deep fakes. So their whole character is a Sassy Justice, but it takes you a while to realize that it's Donald Trump's face the whole time. But they kind of play it around because it doesn't talk. He talks like this. I'm Sassy Justice, coming from Cheyenne. So he's got that voice, but he's got the Donald Trump face, but he's got the weird hair. And but I mean, it's a shame it's only a one-off, because it's like it was supposed. I think they're trying to do a series, but maybe it's got way too difficult to do. What is my best celebrity encounter? I was on the set being directed by Dean Devlin, who yelled at me for sneaking onto the shot only for him to offer me to distribute my movie 8 years later. Oh, sweet. I don't know who Dean Devlin is, but cool. I have two celebrity encounters, but only one that was kind of sweet. A couples. I think I like I like celebrities. Celebrities that I've met have been very, 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 very gracious. Like I met Will Ferrell one time down here in Temecula, where I live, and he was here for a charity golf organization, and I had a Steadicam, it's one of my favorite photos I have around here. But Will Ferrell posed with me with with my Steadicam, my little DIY Steadicam, and Will Ferrell and I in the shot, and he was just so gracious because he knows who he is. He's Will Ferrell. And he's like, I'm just hanging out. I'm going to be nice to everybody. They're all fans. Because, and I appreciate it here, but you guys hanging out with me, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. Without you guys, I'd be I'd be sneezing by myself. Sorry about that, guys. I'd be sneezing by myself here. So that was one of my favorite little interactions. I didn't meet him, but I saw what's his... Jordan Peele, not Jordan Peele, Keegan Michael Keys or something like that. I must be. I think I'm getting a syllable wrong in there. I saw him at the ArcLight in L.A. He's just walking out, and it was like, oh, that's Michael Keys. That's Keys, the Key of Peele, just hanging out with his friends. Jordan Peele wasn't there, but yeah. Is it possible to make short films or web series with zero budget? Any tips? It's possible to make anything, man, with zero budget. The problem is, what does zero budget mean to you? Does it mean you have what do you like? If you own a Arri Flex camera, then you can use it for your zero budget movie. But no, seriously, what does zero budget mean to you? And then basically craft whatever you want, whatever you can with what you have. Like if you have access to a apartment, you set your story in an apartment. If you have access to a grocery store, Maybe your family owns, or maybe you have a friend that works in a gas station. If you have a friend or you work in a gas station, you make your movie about the taking place in a gas station. Clerks. Here we go. A 4x5 lens will cover more or less 8x10 if you use a wider aperture. Okay. If you have a lens over 240, it should cover. Yeah, my lens is a 135. I don't know if that will. Does Joker count as a tragic comedy? Maybe. Make art, not commerce. Art becomes commerce oftentimes. Joker is a tragic comedy, says in the movie, I thought my life was a tragedy. Turns out it's Taxi Driver ripoff. Of all things, you can rip off a lot of worse movies. Like, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to do a comic book movie that's ripping off a good movie like that. There we go. The most important thing is feed your people well, right around your budget, and there is no budget movie. It will always cost something. Yep. And it could also just mean cost of time. Time, money, food, blood, sweat, and tears, your newborn child. What are some ways to get sponsors and producers for independent filmmakers on YouTube? What some things you can get there for short? What things should be there in a short film that attracts sponsors? The only thing that attracts sponsors and producers is viewers. That's the only thing. Everything else is a gamble on you. That's all that matters. And I'll warn you guys. I was working with trying to get a sponsorship for one of my videos coming up here. You'll know which one it is. Sponsorships are tricky because no one wants to part with money, and I don't blame them. Not for the viewers I get, for the number of views I have. No kidding me. But sponsors are hard, and I think they're used to dealing with people that are starting out and need and want gear, and they're, oh gee golly, I'll do anything for that gear, and I'm not that guy. I have enough gear. Like, I'll do it for some gear, but you gotta give me something, or I'm not gonna do as much as you think you want me to do for you. So, I'm gonna make a short film about running out of gas, right? Oops. Oh my God, I'm not doing this right. Strange Town wants to make a short film about running out of gas. Actually, I should probably get some gas tonight. I gotta drive my mom to the hospital tomorrow. I gotta leave my house around 3:45 a.m. Yikes. That's not good. Considering I usually wake up around 9. God, it's gonna be painful tomorrow. Well, painful for her. She's the one getting surgery, not me. So, but hopefully it'll help her out. She just got a big nodule on her thyroid. It's really bad. So if we can get rid of that, maybe she can go back to be able to breathe and eat more regularly. Don't even expect people to ever watch what you upload. Use it to learn. Yep. Yeah, that's half of the stuff I make. William Fox video? No one watched it. It's okay. I keep telling myself. Hey, if I didn't believe in what I'm trying to do, I wouldn't have rebuilt my studio and spent like at least over maybe $1,000, well, maybe $2,000, $1,500 rebuilding it. That's not much, though, really, if you think about it. Super Carnage wants me to try out VR chat. I do have VR. But I went to the VR. I have the Oculus Rift 2. And I was doing the chat thing and like, oh, this is annoying. Arsene Moon's student movies cost dignity. Man, you should see some of the costs of these, like USC, like master's level student films, short movies that cost like $50,000. Yikes, dude. They're some of them are really, really well done. Really well done. Like I saw this really good. It's probably on one of those channels called like, I forget. It's basically the plot of the story is The plot of the story is there's a disease going around where it forces you to think you're in a musical, and then you drop dead. And it has like Bryce Dallas Howard in it, I think. It has the guy that plays the Fishman from the Shape of Water, and also the those like Hellboy. So it had some like legit actors, but it was a student film. It was a master's level film. I think actually that cost like $70,000. So that was some serious cash for a short film. You know, like a 30-minute short film. So, and hey, you're already in debt to USC for $100,000. What's another 70? Oh my God. Hey, Jace, you're up to 100,000 subscribers. Awesome. Yeah, make sure you get that little YouTube plaque. And make sure they send that to you. Man. Seriously, just do it. It's always nice to have that in your little, put that in your room. It's awesome. Show it off. I have mine. I'm trying for that million, but I'm not barely going to crack 400,000 maybe by the end of the year. I'll probably crack 400,000 by like May. But I don't know. My movement on my subs is so low. I don't know. I want to be more regular. I want to put out more content. Hang out with you guys. I'm enjoying it right now. We're having a good time. I don't want to go home. I don't want to get to work. I don't want to go fix my studio. Can comedy writing be learnt? What are some ways to write comedy sketches like SNL? Yes. Upright Citizens Brigade used to do these like writing seminars. I mean, they're seminars in that they kind of teach you the way they do it. And part of it is also improv. If you do a lot of improv with other writers, other actors, that's where a lot of comedy sketches can be born. I think that's where SNL can get a lot of that. But then also, don't look at SNL necessarily as the forebearer of sketch comedy, because they're not. Left Hand Puppetries, thank you so much for saying that the Fox one was fantastic, because no one else watched it. I feel bad because I feel like that was I spent a lot of effort. That was actually and that was right when COVID hit, so it was like a hard time to do stuff. Put a lot of effort into that, and it did so poorly. Like even compared to Paramount, the Paramount one I did, which is like 4 times as many views as the Fox one. And then I'm sort of bitter because the author of the book got pissed off at me and threatened to say I stole her copyright when I obviously didn't. So and I'm still a little bit raw about that. I'm not particularly happy about that. So yeah, screw that lady. So don't buy her book, or buy it secondhand, and don't give her money, because screw her. Anyhow, I probably get in trouble for saying that. I'm not that famous. There's only 40 people watching. All right. Any plans on refreshing the Instagram profile? I don't think I own that Instagram. Somebody else actually came up with that Instagram. That's not us. And I've tried to get a hold of it, or I've tried to even contact the person that ran that, and they never got back to us. So I think whoever came up with that Instagram profile abandoned it, and I don't know how to get it back. And I don't even really use it. I don't even use Instagram that much, other than to look at like models that are nearby. Because every model has an Instagram post. All right. I made a video presentation for my work in which I was called last minute. My boss was so impressed that now I have to do an even better one. I think I said that's always the trouble of being a good professional video person, is you make good stuff and like, oh crap, I gotta do something better next time. Tell me about it. Arsenic, I like that. You stream just to procrastinate. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I don't have any relevant vids on my YouTube. I just got no topic for anything. Yeah, that's life. You know, like my channel's mostly filmmaking. I mean, I could talk about like other things. I don't know. My life is mostly filmmaking, so whatever. Let's see. Super Curtis, I stopped watching SNL when it wasn't funny anymore. SNL ebbs and flows. So SNL will get really good for a little while, and they'll get really crappy for a while. They'll get really good in a while, and they'll get really like if you want to see like some of the worst SNL, like if there was a brief time in the '80s right before Phil Hartman and those guys started taking over. We had Joey Bishop was on. It was like Joey Bishop was like the biggest SNL star. I mean, I'm thinking Joey Bishop, who the hell is that? Yeah, exactly. But Joey Bishop, and I think it was Elaine from Seinfeld was on it. But it was a cast. It was so dead that there were episodes where, like, I mean, I guess there are episodes now where no one laughed. It was so bad, so bad. And this is back, in the 80s. So this is like right after, the first set of years of Bill Murray, and the original not ready for primetime players. So this is much more of a dangerous situation for them. Nowadays, it's such an institution, like you can't get rid of Saturday Night Live, even though a lot of times it sucks so bad. But they're getting better. Occasionally, they put on some sketches that are like, yikes, that was pretty good. Oh, a friend of yours had a sketch stolen by SNL once. He wrote it for a Canadian company. That's kind of typical, I think, for SNL, because they're all Canadian. Like SNL used to be like nothing but Canadians. So yeah, there was a lot of incest between those things. Oh yeah, cool name for cook up a cool name for your streams. Call it a podcast, and then you're in. There you go. Piggyback Louis Rossman's subject line and cash in. I've been watching a lot of Louis Rossman lately. All right, let's see. Well, it's 6:40. I'll answer a few more, and I will cover it. Yes, I was born in the 80s. But they used to run old Saturday Night Lives on my NBC affiliate at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. So Saturday Night Live would come on 11:30 p.m. It would go off the air at 1. Then like a Carson Daly horrible show, and then like this one like Brooke Burke's Wild On whatever bullshit, and then would show a classic SNL, and they would show this like I would love to stay up to like 4 a.m. and watch the classic SNLs, because they were just a glimpse in. This is before YouTube, right? They were a glimpse into a different time era. So they would show like the old ones, like they would show the very first couple with Paul Simon would be on, Paul Simon would be doing, Simon Garfunkel would be doing the musical guest. So they would show, I love the 80s Phil Hartman stuff, but then they would occasionally they would slip in one from the Joey Bishop days, and you're like, wow, this is awful. Yeah, Wild On. I think Wild On E, before it went to E, was on NBC. Or at least it was one of those NBC, like, early in the morning shows. Yeah. Talking about... Oh, Chris Kattan. They're talking about... Oh, I gotta put that on the screen. I remember watching Chris Kattan doing a sketch about Stone Snowboarder, keep banking the Doritos, binging... Yeah, bringing in the last... Keep banking on Doritos, bringing in the laughs and crickets throughout. Yeah. Chris Kattan, poor guy. I bet he's probably a very, very nice guy. But boy, has he kind of fallen out of grace from the public eye. Have I thought about doing a video on Laugh Track? I would love to. That's an interesting idea. Belushi, Aykroyd, Murphy, that's the best SNL. I would say I am partial. Phil Hartman, Mike Myers, David Spade, Kevin Nealon. Who else was in that? Gene Wilder's wife. No, she wasn't. She was in the earlier. Yeah, so I think that was the one. How to convince small businesses in your town to get video ads made, and that too by you, even if they hadn't done it before. Very tough, and you have to almost see the problem. The problem with small business ads is they need a distribution, and so if you don't have, and you're talking to the guy that talks about advertising. My connections when I first got started were actually working for the cable company, and the cable company had salespeople that would go out and sell cable ad time. That's where you make them. That's where they make the money. That's where they're the bulk of the money. So like if a car dealer wants to spend $15,000 a month advertising, that's where the money goes, is into the cable advertising. You making the ad for the cable car company, maybe $700. So the bulk of the money is going to be for the time, and whether that's YouTube time or TV cable time, that's going to be the challenge. The argument too, we would argue now, is small businesses, you want to put that video on your website, on your social media, on your Facebook, on your Instagram. That's, how do you get a company to part with their money to do that? That's difficult, man. You have to create a really strong relationship with that person, with that business, and or relationship with the person that, obviously, the bigger the company, the more money there is to hire you. So that'd be like you would be asking the marketing folks. So, what are some ways to make a steady money as a person who makes videos, shoot for business? I am the shoot for business guy. I don't do weddings. I've shot 5 weddings in my life, my entire life. I rely on basically people that work with other businesses that kind of be my salesperson. Maybe want to consider joining the Chamber of Commerce in your area. That's a way to network with other businesses, and it's really word of mouth. That's I don't try to sell businesses that aren't ready for video yet. I'm contacted when the businesses are ready for a video and they start looking for a video. So I've already got half of it sold. I just have to sell them on myself. So that's a lot easier to do it. I know we're winding it down. We're winding down the discussion. Do a flick where you trigger laugh tracks when it's not appropriate. Sir, your dog is dead. Yeah, Phil Hartman was the greatest of all time. GOAT. Greatest of Phil Hartman is a legend. Period. Ain't no one gonna be Phil Hartman. Will you read my script? Nah. Ooh, idea for a comedy dystopian future. The first episode starts with the father coming home and the house AI has a laugh track installed. It's kind of like WandaVision. No, all right. Well, I think I'm going to roll it off here. Getting tired. I really do need to finish this so I can go home, and I need to get some food for my mom for tonight. All right. Let's see. How to find clients looking for videos to be made. Word of mouth. Like I said, Chamber of Commerce, friends that work for friends. That's really the only way. Don't spend money on advertising. Not a good idea. Because most of the people that you're advertising to aren't in the market for video. So, yeah. Rigel, you got an interesting past, man. I love hearing your stories. I interviewed Phil Hartman's brother once. He was trying to get a cartoon going based on Phil's drawings. That's sweet. That's cool. Oh, you had the idea in 2012 with the WandaVision laughter. Derek's dozing off, so that's a good point. We need to bring this to a close. Hey, I got my music thing, so I can actually put some music back on. Here we go. There we go. All right. Well, you know what to do, guys. Hit that like button, comment on this video, do the algorithm nonsense. Do a little dance. We'll be back. I'm sure. I'm going to try to get this studio ready for next week so we can stream from the studio. You can see my new studio. No promises on that. But I will definitely have a video out sometime later this month, February. For sure, I got a sponsorship coming up that I need to take care of. So, do I have time to sleep? No, I don't. All right, guys. We shall see you. Go out there. All that's left for me to say is go out there, make something great. I'm John Hess. I'll see you, filmmaker. IQ.com.